Oh, spicy Skittles?
I have to leave the room.
Just because you put them close to me, I'm going to try a couple of them.
If you want, boss.
Spicy Skittles.
Recorder's on.
It's new to me.
I'm just
Are
waiting
they
for
spicy?
Norman said he'd be right back.
Every time I didn't get a spicy one yet. You?
He's a man of his word.
Oh, there he is. Okay. The recorder's all set. It's on.
Perfect.
Candy should not be spicy.
They do have a little afterburn, though.
All right. So coming in from executive session right now brings back in.
All right. So public hearings, amendments to Chapter 14, General Assistance, Maxims, and Appendices. A public hearing.
Sorry, my computer's not.
Did it go to sleep?
I went to sleep. It does have a little afterburn.
It's got to be one of those now.
Pass them in.
Sir, you've lost the room.
Norm.
Yeah, there it is.
Oh,
Finally.
you got it? I was going to say you
I
can
know.
have that agenda if you need it for a second.
I think with
Thank
the
you. I got it.
with
I got it. We're good to go.
Exactly.
So you said, sorry,
Hearings.
second reading for this, right?
This is just a public hearing. We
Oh,
had our
sorry,
first
I'm
reading.
sleeping here.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll open up the public hearing. At this time, anybody in the audience who would like to go ahead and come to the podium? Is there anything they'd like to say? Going once, going twice, and I'll close the public hearing.
Okay. Audience participation and response for agenda items.
And again, at this time, anyone in the audience who would like to step to the podium and go ahead and be heard? Seeing none?
Next is the consent agenda. Any counselor wishing to have any item removed may do so now. Seeing none, order 2019-200 to approve the municipal accounts payable and payroll warrants. Number 102019 for $49,359.95. Number 103219 for $120,993.87. Number 1010219 for $99,515.39. Number 191010 for $189,151.64. Number 1910W1 for $19,649.28. Number 11052019 for $197,540.88. The school accounts payable and payroll warrants. Number 1016 for $371,175.04. Number 10 for $2,819.81. Number 1017 for $12,594.86. Number 2006 for $93,500.83, plus the minutes of October 1, 2019.
Make that motion?
Second? All in favor?
Order passed, 6-0.
All right, next item.
Under council orders, resolutions, and ordinances, order 2019-201, the fire truck capital reserve account.
This is just some housekeeping. The original reserve account was set up in 1997-98 season during the annual town meeting, and since the warrant article really did not have specific language on how it was set up and how the funds are to be transferred or used for this reserve, the auditors are asking us to have the council put something in writing or a recommendation or motion on the way that we currently use it. So the way we do is we raise whatever amount is that the council wants to do at budget time. It's been $75,000 in the last couple of years. If we don't use any of those funds during the year, we transfer the balance to the reserve account at fiscal year end, and that's how it's been done all these years. But we don't have anything in writing to that effect, and the auditors would like to see something.
I'll make a motion for discussion.
I'll second it.
It's from last year to this year that I caught, and then I had a discussion with the auditor, and then she said, well, do you have it in writing on that you do transfer the balance? Because it didn't get transferred last year, and we had to do it after the fact. And I said, I don't know, I'll check. And
That's something they didn't pick up on last year. That's something they just
No.
used this year.
Yeah.
Just curious. I mean, it just seems like one of those things that we've
They
been having
wouldn't
this done for
I
years.
don't think they
you know?
would have picked up on it this year if I hadn't have brought it to their attention on the prior year balance discrepancy.
Which is,
That they
which is
would
fine.
never have known, really.
I mean, whatever needs. It just seems strange that it's when things come up and.
On clarification, you said that it was done afterwards, so has been the accounting to get the reserve account where it needs to be.
Yes.
It's just actually done now.
It is, because the balance that I brought forward this year for you, the carry forward amount, had the right amount in it, but it isn't what the
So
auditor
the
had.
financials reflect what the auditors weren't expecting, is what you're
Right.
saying. Okay. I got nothing else.
Been there a long time. I think it's going to continue on, so I think we need to.
Everybody looked at the language, comfortable with it, saw it, or did a packet?
Be
You have
straightforward.
any suggestions, anything, you're happy with everything?
Yes, yes.
All in favor?
Order passed, 6-0.
Thank you. Next item.
Order 2019-202, the town buildings repair change order.
Right, so when they got into working on the sand shed, they had to buy additional roof sheathing, which amounted to $1,530.30, which is change order number 1. And then change order number 2 in the amount of $4,536.45 for materials for this building here because of the rot that they found out back. I think Dennis mentioned that we are going to have some additional costs, and then the labor for doing the siding and wall sheathing to repair the rotten wood here in the town office building came to $10,697.50. So what we're recommending is you authorize the 2 change orders in the amount of $16,763.95, and that'll come from the town buildings reserve account.
I'll make the show.
For discussion?
For discussion.
Second. My question is what did we originally set aside for those items this year to relate to the 16 grand that we're going to be adding to it?
Question is, what are we taking away from that we're not going to
Yes.
have money to pay for? Is that
Yes.
Okay.
Where's that
I don't
six-
think we're taking away from anything, because the bulk of the work is already done now. There may be a few small outstanding items, but we've got
So
plenty.
everything that Dennis hit us with on that
Yes.
budget workshop,
Yes.
everything has actually been accomplished with the exception
I think
of
just
this.
about everything has.
And
I'd have to
I'll
go back and
counter
look at
it
the
with-
list.
It's kind of a moot point. He's done the work.
Right.
We still owe him the $16,000.
Yeah.
I just
But I wanted it to come back to council because you
right
authorized
because
one
of the
amount.
It
change
should.
orders,
It's 18% of the original contract.
Right.
I think going into it, if I may, Chair, we knew that there was going to be unforeseen, and
Especially
anytime-
out here.
Especially when you work.
Yeah,
on
as soon as he
something.
said, peel the siding back, go ahead.
Yeah,
And
especially
then
when
once
you know
they
that
started, they couldn't stop, so it was
Well,
more,
pick
I
it
mean,
up.
they didn't anticipate that when they did the bid, I don't
Back in
believe.
crystal ball things. Very
That's it,
difficult to
man.
know, right?
Yeah.
Can I land on the smaller of the two amounts and just 17 sheets of siding or roofing? How do you miss by approximately 300 square feet?
I don't know.
They weren't planning on doing the whole roof originally.
Right. That's what I was.
I don't think they did
They
the
were
whole
talking
roof,
about
did they? I
one
think they-
side, right?
right.
I was
I think
hoping
they-
to hear that they had to roof the entire thing because it wasn't able to be done. That's what I was wondering.
Again, it's actually after the fact and stuff.
2/3 of this building is roof.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. I didn't want to. I mean, it's $1,500 in the whole thing, so I'm sure it's legitimate. I just don't remember how they would be that off because
Is that roofing or was it just sheathing?
it's roofing is what it said.
Roof,
Sheeting.
sheathing.
I didn't know if it was on the walls too or something of that
Typically roof
nature.
sheathing, UNC is the.
I get the impression it was replacing rotten board.
Yeah, underneath, yeah.
Okay.
Not the decking, if you want to call it, more so than that.
So, just to put a bow on this to make sure that we all understand it and for the listening audience. So this money that these change orders to come in was already allocated and allotted and factored in, correct? Or is this above and beyond?
This is above and beyond his bid.
Okay, that's what I want to make sure that the public understands, because I think that what we were talking about earlier, it could have been misconstrued, so.
And it's coming out of the
It's
building
going to come
fund,
out of the
so-
reserve
Yeah.
account.
That's good. All right. Anybody with anything else? All in favor?
Order passed, 6-0.
Next item, please.
Ordinance 2019-203, the amendments to Chapter 14, General Assistance Maximums and Appendices as presented.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
That's roll call. I
It will
believe.
be a roll call vote.
Yes.
And you ready for a roll call?
Yep, we know what this is about.
All right. Counsel Kobe?
Yes.
Counsel Brunel?
Yes.
Counsel Lunt?
Yes.
Counsel Ward?
Yes.
Counselor La Rochelle?
Yes.
Counsel Albert?
Yes.
6 yeas, 0 nays, order passed. Next one is the ordinance 2019-204, Chapter 2, Article 5, Division 2, Finance Committee, Sections 505 to Sections 509. First reading, roll call vote required.
I'll make a motion for discussion.
Second.
And my discussion is, Alan, you good?
Yes, absolutely. I read the content. Yes, I saw. I knew I would be.
That was funny.
That was a good one.
Basically.
All right, anybody else got anything else before we move?
It's also a roll call.
It is.
You ready?
Please.
Counsel Ward?
Yes.
Counselor LaRochelle,
Yes.
Counselor Albert,
Yes.
Counselor Lunt,
Yes.
Counselor Brunel,
Yes.
and Counselor Colby.
Yes.
6-0, order pass.
Thank you, Alan, for following that through. You actually did add a lot to it. Thank you.
Yeah.
For sure.
Appreciate you bearing with me.
Next item.
Ordinance 2019-205, Chapter 46, Article 5, Section 46, 133, and 134, Access Management. First reading, roll call vote required.
Make a motion for discussion.
I'll second it.
And is anybody here prepared to actually give any discussion on it at all, or just a brief, so people know what we're actually talking about?
Come on, Don.
Yeah.
You know you wanna.
Did you print his?
You really want to hear it?
Do you have it?
I have it.
Okay. I will look
Don Fellows from Chair of the Planning Board. Ben Smith had a commitment tonight, so he asked me to do it if you guys wanted to. Ben Smith has worked on access management and conferred with Joan Walton, who's at IFCOG, and wrote the original, or was instrumental in writing the original access management. So when it came to the thought that I particularly had to make it one of our goals this year and to change it, Joan Walton was immediately on edge about it and said, oh, really? But as it turns out, the revisions are a lot of housekeeping, a lot of moving things around. The major part of it, I'll go through a memo that I have a little bit, but I won't take all night doing it. We differentiated between highway sections and village sections so that there is a difference between the village and the highway sections regarding access management. As you're probably aware, access management mostly concerns Route 196. It also concerns some other roads like Mill Street and so forth, but it's mostly 196 where all the problems have come up. So we defined that. It also is divided so that we have driveways for low volume access and entrances which are higher volume. The definition of site distance has been updated to move the technical description to where it belongs instead and out of definitions. All housekeeping type of things. A new driveway width is proposed that is between 12 and 20 feet. Entrance widths are not proposed to change from the existing 22 to 30 feet. In other words, it more explicitly divides large vehicles from small vehicles without saying how many axles and dimensions and so forth. To me, the major change is corner clearance in highway sections will be use the existing 150 feet, while village sections will have a corner clearance of 50 feet. That's where most of our issues have come from when you're dealing downtown, Lisbon Falls and things like that, in accommodating new businesses, and we want to be able to do that and make things reasonable. So that was the change there. Lots are now in this ordinance are limited to a single two-way access on regulated roads. The proposed changes remove the option of two curb cuts for obvious reducing of access where it's unnecessary. Another section that was in there, we always had the ability for off-site improvements within the right-of-way can be required by the board. But options to pay a fee to the town for the town to do that work have been eliminated. So what we're saying here is that if you need options, the person needing to do it needs to pay for it and do it. And waivers have been changed slightly. There was a section that was all of the standards can be waived, but we added a section that doubly emphasizes the fact that it has to be a benefit and not many other alternatives in order to make it happen. Specifically, if I can find the waivers. We used to have a section in there that says standards that may not be waived, and site distance standards, corner clearance standards, and driveway requirement could not be waived. In this case now, as long as all the public safety and all the criteria for granting waivers are met, and to the assurance of the board, then that would be waiverable. So that's essentially the part of it. Exciting as it is.
We thank you, sir, very much. At least we have to know what we're voting on. Thank you.
And this has the support of the planning board? Yes. I got nothing else.
We're good?
All in favor?
Roll call.
Roll call.
Oh, it is, isn't it? That's my bad.
There is.
Okay,
Twyla,
Counselor
sorry.
LaRochelle,
Yes.
Counselor Ward,
Yes.
Counselor Colby,
Yes.
Counselor Brunel,
Yes.
Counselor Lunt,
Yes.
Counselor Albert,
Yes.
6-0. Ordinance passed. Next item is other business, council committee reports.
So I'll start out with the school, and nothing new to report. Planning board?
Postponement from their regular schedule in access management would be current topics.
Actually, I'm going to go back to the school for a minute. They're meeting tomorrow because of the holiday yesterday, so that's why I got nothing new to report. What's that?
There was a holiday yesterday?
There was. Hey, if you want, I'm going to leave that alone.
Yeah.
LDC. LDC.
Last meeting was productive. We actually, the bulk of the discussion was done on the Rumble site, and with the direction of the council from the meeting before, we actually had Ben attended the meeting, our contracted planner. Ben is actually going to take a look at the site and figure out all the boundaries, restrictions, guidelines, setbacks, easements, and lay it out in a report and something visual for the council so we can take a look at and see what our limitations are and what our options are. He is a contracted planner for the town, so it isn't anything that's going beyond the cost of what's already been allotted for his position. No third-party help at this point in time, so it's strictly with Ben and his associates to actually come up with that report for us. And so basically the LDC is basically kind of sit back at this point in time and waiting to see what this report reads so council can get a firm idea what direction we could go. But it will erase all the questions that we have, what we can and what we can't. And it's not one particular person, it's an outside source actually doing it, so we'll have a good fair evaluation of what we can do and what we can't do. He was hoping from the meeting to try to have something to us before the end of the year. Right now, I guess Don had mentioned there's really no big burning projects with the planning board, so Ben should be able to focus his time on this, and we should be able to get a pretty decent report hopefully for the end of the year. And then we'll move forward.
Diane, can I ask you a quick question since we're on LDC? I know that the last time we met, we talked about starting to kind of get some information about remediation of the site. Any numbers come in on that yet?
No, nothing yet.
Okay, thanks. Someone's looking for. So, Conservation Commission.
Before I say nothing to report, Mark, am I forgetting anything? I've seen their passage and information. I know Richard's had a couple setbacks with testing. That's right.
Excuse me.
We'll have more at the next meeting. Please, come on up. Hit it.
Because it's Times Record, I put a link on the report that I submitted to you.
It was a good article.
Did you see it?
I did.
I just wanted to say that the compost program, I'm getting the ball rolling, getting it up started was incredible learning experience for all of us. Lisbon has embraced it wholeheartedly. Let's see where it goes with that. If the school department jumps in with us, then it's going to quadruple in composting material. I'm not sure. I can't quantify what kind of savings it's going to bring to the town, but I do know that we were looking for a culture change, and if it keeps rolling like it is now, you're probably going to see that next year too. But as it is now, we're passing everything we've done off to the solid waste department, Public Works, because it's under their budget, and they'll be managing it from this point on. So
Good start, right?
Thank you.
to start, yeah.
Yep.
Definitely good stuff. All right, Recreation.
Mark, I'm putting you back in the hot seat.
Sorry, Mark. I should have been a little quicker on the trigger, I guess. I'm sorry about that, buddy.
The federal grant that we got for planning, we were semifinalists. We had I think I reported last month or a couple months ago that we had a phone interview from a woman from Washington, D.C. It went for about 45 minutes to an hour. It was an incredible interview. I thought we slam dunked it.
Nice.
And they told us that we were a 50% chance of winning in the semifinals. Well, she called a couple weeks ago and told us that we didn't get it. no matter how impressive, no matter how impressive our town is, with being Stephen King's hometown, we mentioned everything. We pulled everything out, and we just didn't win. So with that said, she said, look out for future opportunities, and we are on the Northeast corridor is on their radar for future funding. So it's done now, but it's not completely out of.
So we didn't get this one, but it's all right because it's a great effort and they know who we are.
It was a big one. It was a planning grant for Beaver Park, and there was a lot on the table there. So if we would have gotten it, then that means we would have had to really been pushing hard for Land and Water Conservation Fund granting, and also any other federal grants. But it will put us in the right frame to get funds from those different organizations. So we'll see what happens next time.
Well, hats off to you and your entire group for making that effort. And I think to get somebody to say, from that side of the house, from D.C., to say, you guys put on a pretty impressive effort, that's got to feel good from your crew, even though it's a little bittersweet. But
we were excited. We did the interview, but Tracy Stuber did the application. She did the groundwork for that. So she kind of put it in our lap. So it really, credit goes to her.
Well, that's great. Then I'll definitely thank her as well. Thank you. County budget.
You want this one, Mark?
Just waiting for you to sit down.
You probably do a better job. Wrapping up, we finished the last of the divisions last Wednesday. The October 30th is our final hearing.
Public hearing.
Time
to show up to the
adoption.
public and really
Right.
voice your opinions about county budget.
Not a significant amount of cuts. There were recommendations to the commissioners for consideration because they can hold it out there until November timeframe for consideration to your ask on revenues for communications. I was assured that yes, they have been adjusted. Can't say the specifics other than the fact is it's a $38,000 increase next year on that budget line item. Does it offset the costs? Probably not.
Half
But
an
at least-
employee, so evidently a couple employees don't balance out, right?
Right.
It's something.
Correct. At least it was asked the question and they know we have intention to be the thorn in the side.
There you go.
Thank you.
Good job, Alan.
Library.
Our library has started up their the Maine reciprocal borrowing pilot program, which is where they're working with 68 libraries in the state of Maine, that you can use your library card to go into any library in Maine and borrow books and return them there or return them here, and they'll get them back to where they belong. And it's a interesting new program, and I think a lot of opportunity there that people could, in Lisbon, you could take your library card and go to the public library in Lewiston or Auburn and check out those libraries, or go to Topsom. And I think it's an interesting new idea. So far, we've had 6 people in the first couple of weeks, like from other towns, come here and check out our library. Apparently, a lot of it is business people that they work here and they have a business, or they work at a business here, and then they live somewhere else, but they can use that as a reciprocal way to stop in after work and check out a book or a movie. That's awesome. I think it's a great new program, and hopefully it'll attract some interest.
Great. Thank you. Next item.
Town managers report.
So I contacted CMP last week to find out where we are in the queue for our light conversion. And they said they're just waiting for a delivery date on the fixtures, and then she'll get back to me. And then the other thing they're working on is where they're going to store all those fixtures, because there's going to be several hundred of them when they come in. And they do work year-round doing these conversions, so it's not like they're going to stop for the winter. They continue on, and she said there's several towns behind us in the project, too, that they have to. So it's going to be a long time before they get these done. So once she lets me know what the delivery date is, then they'll schedule it.
Okay.
Then we had a meeting last week, 2.5 hours down in Augusta with DOT regarding the Main Street project.
Nice.
So it looks like around the first of the year, they'll probably have another public hearing once they iron out some of the details that we talked about last week in the project. And right now, they're looking at probably a 25% increase on construction costs. So at some point, I'm going to have to look back between now and next year before the November election next year, to see if I have to go back to get permission from the taxpayers to spend more on the project. By the time they put this out to bid, the cost is probably going to be significantly higher, but anyway, that's that. And then we started in September, on September 5th, with the tax billing and tax collection and property module for Munis. So we did our refresh, and the first tax pass was loaded for their on-site visit on September 6th. The form kits have been submitted for design, and we're still working on those, tweaking those. But on September 6th, Munis was on site for the tax conversion proof number 2, and things went well, and we made some changes to the Munis files. September 12th, they were here again for a half day to review tax files and billing proofs. And then on September 16th, they were here for a half a day with staff to do Munis tax payments processing, Tyler cashiering tax payments and processing, refunds, write-offs and transfers, reversals, and Munis office review. And then they're back here on the 27th, and we did another tax conversion pass and CAMA test billing. That's usually just with Megan and I, because you're only going to have to do this once. Between September 27th and October 11th, we had to provide them with new files, and this time we provided them with the 2020 commitment files. So they had to load all of that up, plus Megan's been working on getting them the tax payment history back to 2016 and back to 2012 on the personal property tax. They were here last Friday. It was supposed to be for a full day, but they were only here for half day. And we did conversion proof number 4 and CAMA test billing and processing on number 2. And then I have a status call with Sabrina on the 16th, and the next time they're going to be on site to do the conversion proof number 5 is on November 15th, and then there's going to be some more training on that day as well. And then between November 15th and December 20th, the forms will be approved and loaded, and then they'll be here on the 20th again for tax conversion proof number 6 and some more training. And then final payments will be taken in trio through the close of business on, oh, that's not right, not 11/15, 2/20, and I don't know what date it was, but it's a week before we do the final pass. I have that date wrong. So right now, everything is on track for us to go live on January 22nd to the 21st and 22nd, and they'll be here also on the 23rd. And then after that, we have more tax lien training, because that doesn't happen until the spring.
Right.
So
So good, I'm glad to hear that we're on pace. That's good.
there's a lot of time taken up in all of this, and a lot of meetings with them, and a lot of proofing, and
Well, you
We're
see the
getting
finish
there.
line, though. That's the good news.
Yep.
You see the finish line.
Now, I understand that everything is on days, schedules, and training. Hearing your report, that if they were supposed to be here for a full day and you actually got half, does that mean you get credit for another half day
Yeah.
at a later date?
Yeah.
So it goes against that
Yeah.
piece.
yeah, they're only going to charge us for what they're here. So right now, I don't think we had any days left for taxes anyway, so I'm paying a little more now for that.
Okay, that
We've
was
used
my
some
that
of
was my
their-
ask.
I mean,
Is
we've
they
been-
allot
yeah.
X number of days, and
Yeah.
are we in a
And-
paying column or are we
Right.
in a credit
No,
column?
I'm still, and I'm using that Munis reserve because I've had to have somebody here on the financial side too, with the previous finance director being gone and trying to get, because of the conversion from Trio to Munis, there's a lot of work that we have to do. And then also with Kayla here, we need to have some more training.
So how did
but
tax day go?
Tax day,
Tax day, September 16th. It's
Oh.
usually busier than heck and totally not the place to be.
it wasn't, I don't think it was that bad. It was up to that, it was pretty bad, but it wasn't too bad on the 16th. It wasn't like lines out the door, because we get a lot.
Right. That's usually an indication associated with how the day is actually going to go, is the build up to the way.
Yeah.
That's why I was asking.
We survived.
And also, I'd like,
Thank your staff,
We did.
please.
And I just want to say congratulations and welcome to Kayla Tierney. She's in the audience here. She's the new finance director, so she'll be reporting out next.
Very cool. Welcome, and with that fine introduction, let's move on to the next item.
Department head written reports. And then in that is the finance update.
Yep. So nobody had any questions about
I
those?
did have one.
Oh, okay.
What is Lisbon EMS on a calendar or fiscal year? Remind me. I'm looking at I'm looking at a net.
I thought there were
I
I thought there were
honestly
calendar. I thought they didn't line up with us.
I think
That-
they're
that-
our calendar.
They're on calendar year because
That's what I remember too. Thank you, Miriam.
when they came down when
She's
them-
got a meeting with them. I appointed
The
her. as
reason I
news-
ask is, should we be concerned about a net loss actually so far year to date through the end of August?
They just sent the reports today to me. I think they were
The updated ones?
He just sent something today, and I forwarded on to Twyla for the next agenda. I did not have time to look at them.
That's okay. The reason being is the fact
I can
is
forward them to you
it's not a
tomorrow.
it's not a significant piece, but if they're not on pace for what they were already hoping to do, I just want to make sure that it isn't complicating in the last couple of months of the year.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's why I'm
Kayla's going to a meeting this week. Are they meeting tomorrow, is it? Or
They're meeting on Thursday.
So why don't we hold off on that send out and let's just kind of maybe after the meeting on Thursday, if there's anything that going on, you could send out and then maybe give us some sort of update. Nothing crazy. Reader's Digest version.
Okay, sounds
Thank
good.
you.
Thank you, Kayla.
You're welcome.
Oh, no, it's in the,
I saw I saw some stuff in the
she
packet.
did.
Is that the updated?
yeah, it is.
Okay.
Yeah,
well,
if there's anything different,
Oh, so
you're
you
showing
put
us
it-
here. This clearly shows through the end of August.
Also, okay,
because
so
I had looked at
I'm
that.
not sure what he sent me today then.
I was going to say, I looked at that. I thought it was kind of
Yeah, it
strange.
is
I was
in
like,
there.
you sent something updated from what we had in our packet?
He sent something today, so I'm not sure what it was. It was this afternoon.
So we have it. So just
This
still,
is
anything that you
showing
come out of the meeting that you think is pertinent, feel free to
this
send it
report
our way,
that
send
we're
it our
actually
way.
is in our
Thank you.
packet is showing a $2,800 loss as of the end of August.
Right.
I want to know if there's anything that's actually been paid in advance, or if the fact is that's where they expect to be at the end of year, as in a net loss, and what does that do for the 3-year model that they presented to us?
Yeah, I think that we'll want to understand if that's snowballing the wrong way.
Right.
We get in front of that sooner rather than later.
Right.
So could maybe ask out to them to come give us an update, or at least get an update from them?
Yeah, well,
Okay.
Well, we actually
Kayla's
have a
going to be,
representative going there this week.
Yeah.
I know we have her going, but I still think that
Yeah, if there's any questions.
push come to shove, I'd love to see
Yep.
them kind of.
Yeah, or at least gives them a chance to be able to speak to it.
Exactly.
So if
And
there-
because
if
it's one of
there's-
the things that they've done well with is
I can
communication.
request them to be at the
Yeah.
next meeting.
I think the
Yeah.
transparency ask that we had, they've been
Yeah.
forthcoming, so maybe this is just something that was unforeseen. We'd
Yeah,
like to
could be
have
just
them
very
talk
sick with
about.
them.
Perfect.
Sorry.
It's good. Now I think we're ready for next.
Hello, everyone. Again, I'm Kayla Tierney, the new finance director. Very happy to be here. In your packet, you had received the year-to-date budget report for both revenue and expenses. Just going over that report, as we have already closed quarter one, I would just say that we are in line with where we need to be going into the next 3 quarters. As far as revenues, everything looks in order. And if it was higher in the percentage scale, it's just based on those kinds of timing instances, but nothing of concern at all. And then for expenditures, going through again on those total percentages per department, they range in the 20 to 25% range, which is again to be expected coming out of quarter one. So as far as our expenses, we are in line at the end of quarter one going forward into the rest of the year. Some items that I just had flagged to be mentioned was tax abatements. Tax abatements had a higher percentage, but we have supplemental taxes coming in on that. So they had $10,978 for tax abatements. For available budget was a negative $10,978. And for the supplemental taxes, it's a contribution of raising the valuations in the town and supporting that supplemental taxes is an approximate $5,900. So that will contribute towards that line item. And then the only other line item of mention is the insurance. That has a higher percentage, but that was just something that was paid the beginning of the year for the full year for insurance coverage. Otherwise, everything looks to be in line, and again, no concerns from that.
It's good to hear.
Very good. Any questions, anyone?
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Next item?
Next item is the Moxie
Oh,
report.
one more
Sorry.
thing. No, it's good.
Just wanted to report on the audit. So the auditors were here last week, October 7th through the 9th. And so they were here for 3 days. And by the time they had left on October 9th, it was determined that they would like to come back to do some more work. Based on their schedule and availability, they won't be able to come back until December 9th. So with that in mind, just keeping that the likelihood of us getting the audit by the end of the calendar year as of 12/31 doesn't look like that will be on schedule for the end of the calendar year. So the auditors had said that it will be extended. So when they come out here for the beginning of December, that work will be continued to be worked on, so that the hope is that they could give it to us the beginning of 2020, or that extension will bring us to the end of the month of January 2020 at the latest.
Okay.
And have they notified the state on our behalf?
So I believe that the first step would be to notify the school department, because they're the ones that have that 12/31 year end. So the school was also looped in, and because they're associated under our end, that's what's driving that to have the work be done more on our end for that extension. So I will verify with them that it has been communicated with the state.
Perfect.
Yeah, please.
Just a question, I mean, is that, is a delay in the idea of the, for them coming back and doing more work and stuff, is that actually a concern of the community, or is that actually a concern of the audit company that actually doesn't have time to do it? Or, I mean, I was just curious what the delay was this year versus a regular year, but.
I think that this year it was just a combination of, we had that large conversion in our software system, so they found that they had a lot more questions, and so they were just kind of digging into a little bit more of developing and asking those questions. Typically, the auditors had communicated that they come out here for 3 days, but because of the nature of this year having some parts in Trio and some parts in Munis, they're scheduled already out, so they had already pre-scheduled us for 3 days. And when they had arrived out here, they realized that they had more questions, and so because of the nature of their scheduling out so far in advance, they tried to get us in the earliest they could, and that was the December 9th date.
So it's basically a lot of moving parts in a sense.
Yes.
Yep. Yep. But they were actually part of this process moving forward too. Our audit firm actually helped us with some of the units, so it wasn't unfamiliar with that. We were going through
No.
this process then.
Right.
Okay.
There's still a lot of work we got to do.
Are we still within the same scope of what their contract is for what we understood for the ask for this year? I know that was a lengthy
That is,
statement, but
I ended up having to pay a little bit for Erica to come here, and that was the time when she spent with Munis. There were a couple of days that the whole time was spent with Munis trying to understand why the accounts are set up the way they were, and some of the things not working correctly within the accounts. So they charged us for that, but they didn't charge us for the other work that they came on to help us with the audit,
Right.
the beginning part of the audit. And since then, we've had people from Munis, a financial person that's come down, and she's fixed a lot of the accounts for us. The due tos and due froms were not working correctly, and some of the funds were out of balance. So she's got those in balance now as of the end of June. And then we still have to do some work in this new fiscal year as well.
So do
I'm
we,
trying to get her back one more day here to get get the account straightened around.
So this actually gives us more time to get prepared also for the next time they
Yeah.
come in, but do we have all the tools in place to make that happen, so when they come in next time that, I mean.
The auditors?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So
Kayla and I are going to be, we know what we have to
So
get
you
ready
actually
for
have the
them.
wish list, you basically just gotta put it
Yep.
together so it goes through.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Is there an additional expense that we're going to incur?
For,
What I don't want is I don't want the actual public to actually reminisce about 3 years ago with a $12,000 bill for something that we weren't expecting of that nature. That's why I'm asking, because the dot's listening in the corner.
yeah, no, just that we are paying extra for Munis to come in and get
But
these
that was a
straightened out,
known
but that's-
discussion because of the time frame and
Right.
the conversion.
Right.
That's the key point that I want brought out here.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you for bringing
Thank
that
you.
forward.
Next item.
The Moxie report.
Long time no see.
So, okay. When we had started, I had passed out some printouts of some spreadsheets I had worked on. The first one being FY19, the second one being FY20. So what I had done is I had gone through to go through the Moxie cash account, get that activity. So if we look at FY19 first, you'll see we have an ending cash balance in the bank of $43,529 rounded. And that pretty much reconciles to what we have in Munis account within a $4 difference. And then next section you'll see as revenues, just kind of high level looking at totals here. Total revenues for the fiscal year FY19 we have in our Moxie fund in Munis of $77,164.43. On the expense side, $46,160.20, which is giving us a net income as of 6/30/2019, $31,004.23. To speak to that, I would just like to say that I believe that this to be a very successful program, and that within these numbers as just a total basis, that producing a net income in this regards is something that should be highlighted and should be praised, and to also speak to just the receipt of the community and the residents. It was a very great year for Moxie and the festival itself. So thank you to Mark's team as well. Continuing with the numbers for fund balances, the unassigned fund balance at $25,240.89. When the year closes, the net income of the $31,004.23 gets rolled into that unassigned fund balance, which is giving us an end of year 6/30/19 fund balance, $56,245.12. The last item I have at the bottom are our due to, due froms. You'll see that it's a due from general fund, $22,834.50, and on the respective side, due to Moxie fund of $22,834.50.
Kayla, is it a correct assumption, reading what you just presented us, that we went from a 39,001 to a 56,245 ending, so we actually increased the balance in that account?
That's correct.
So from a financial standpoint, what went well, guys?
Well, we brought in more money than we spent.
Oh,
Good job. That's what we like to see.
I like that.
I like top level overview. That's nice,
So-
Mark.
It
It's
was
nice.
great sitting. I was sat down with Kayla for the first time today for nearly an hour, and it was great to see her go through these numbers because fresh set of eyes.
Yep.
You know, so many of us have been doing this for many years. We see the numbers back and forth, and you know the expenses and all the moving parts to this festival. It's unbelievable. And then we have the fiscal year that starts July 1st, and most of the revenues come in from May, June, April, May, and June, and then we expend it in July. So Kayla and I and Diane are going to be working together to make sure that the numbers, each time we get a report, we're going to do monthly updates starting in November, and that when you get a report, it's going to be, current, accurate, and it's going to be for what that festival brought in and expended in that one festival, not mulling into years into each other because it's confusing over time. I knew that we had a certain start date, a starting amount, and I think it was like 28,000 or something like that, between 28 and 32,000, and then the Munis and Trio whatever, it switched over, and then we weren't sure what the starting number was when we got the numbers in. So sitting down today was really, really an eye opener and really clear. So I don't know what your question is.
No, basically, one small piece of this plan that started basically a year ago was to be able to give you assurances that the resources would actually be there for the transfer of the festival to the Parks and Recreation Committee from Economic Development. I mean, being a part of that process this year and seeing the group that was actually vested, they very much were. The fact that one of the other pieces that I find just as equaling the report card. I think that's a fair assessment of this year's.
We're kind of cornered. We're just praising everything. There were some things.
Who gave you an A-? I mean, I thought it was a rockin' parade. Come on. I want to know. I want a name.
Telling you it was our backfire.
Carlton worked his tail off. I know what I did to people, but he did nothing. No, the point that I'm making is that one year later.
Free cigar parade.
Yeah, and
But there was a cigar gap number.
There was a gap.
No.
You guys, I talk by traffic congestion, and it was clearly packed downtown. That's my goal. How much havoc can I create? Point that I'm making in this is the fact that, do you feel 1 year later that you got the support to be able to make the transition to where it ultimately played out in Parks and Recreation?
Sure. I think so, because we had the right people doing the right things, and we had the right volunteers doing the right events. And a lot of people said they were going to return for next year, so we're feeling confident that starting next month, we're going to start hitting the road again. We're start learning again, but we feel like we have great support from town council, town manager, and the school department, nonprofits. Our goals were simple. We wanted to increase the interest in the local business community. We did that. We doubled the amount of people that got involved with the business community. We wanted to increase the amount of nonprofits getting involved, and did more than that. We had a lot of school groups go in and vendors raise money. The Methodist Church next to the MTM building told us it was their best Moxie festival ever. They raised more money selling lobster rolls, and this is the first year in many years they didn't have to go to the Thetford shelter with their extras. And we wanted to make sure there was a three-day festival. Before it was touted as a 3-day festival, it was really only a day and a half. And I think we did all 3 of those.
Anything that we would need to keep on our radar screen that would assist with that for next year?
I know Julianne wants a Moxie golf cart. I don't think that's something that you guys need to talk about tonight.
I like her. She dreams big. I like that.
Yeah.
I bet it needs to be orange too.
Orange Moxie golf.
Actually, I think she wanted Gina's husband's.
Oh,
Sorry,
Gator, you mean?
Yeah, the
She
Gator.
wanted his, quite specifically, if I remember correctly. Yeah.
I think it went very well, and I'd like to know from your standpoint, how do you feel that it went?
Well, I'm going to jump in on this because I was railing for this for a long time, and I can't tell you I was so happy to see that finally we're able to get this moved to where I felt it should have been all along, because I really do think that some of the programs that you had taken and under the rec umbrella and then turned into successful programs because of the staff and the way your approach was, your team's approach, I just felt like it was going to be a really good fit and I know that there had been some challenges in the current form that we were running Moxie, so I felt like it was time for a little bit of fresh perspective and maybe a breath of fresh air. And I think this proves it out. From the planning standpoint, where it started off a little, it's unknown. What do we do? How do we do it? And I think there's certainly some nerves that go with that, but you all pushed forward. You set a schedule. You kept your schedule. You moved every month. It was more and more people. And more progress. And it was great because it was just kind of like coming at us a little bit here and a little bit there, but we started to see more buzz. And more buzz in a way that had never been done before, which was exciting. And I just think that buzz steadily built up until the event, so it sort of reached that crescendo, which is exactly what I felt it needed. And it certainly reflected the day of. That first Friday was something else, but the way it built into Saturday morning in the parade, then off the parade, there was no letdown. It was certainly, sometimes people fade out, go home, do a couple of things, maybe come back down for an event or two that they wanted to. I didn't see drop-off at all. In fact, it was the exact opposite. It's more of a swell, even after the parade. So I think it's a testament to every person who got involved with it business, which was nice to see them jumping in and doing some of the things that maybe they had done in the past. It's nice to see them embrace that, because I know there maybe was a little bit of some hard feelings there when it went down the way it went down, but it's great to see our community rally again in some of those ways. Overall, just hats off to you and your entire team. Really looking forward to seeing what tweaks you'll put in place for this upcoming event. And with year one in the books and as successful as this was, I think we're going to be pleasantly surprised by the amount of interest that we have earlier than we did this year for the folks who want to be a part of this. So, kudos.
I want to thank, I had Sherry and Julie in here earlier. They couldn't stay, but one was really, responsible for taking all the revenues and all the money in and keeping track of all that, and the other one was responsible for spending it. So it was, they couldn't stay, but I want to compliment both of them, and Dan Lehman as well, and Lynn Stroh, our staff, but also Lisa Ward behind us. She's been involved for quite a while, and Cassie and Alan and anybody else that went to these Moxie committees and supported us. Incredible.
Yeah, we're pretty lucky. We have some pretty incredible volunteers. You're right there.
It's a new challenge for cigars.
More marching bands.
Yeah.
Yes.
So Carlton and I spent twice what they gave us for a budget, and nobody felt it. And so in that regard is the fact that it's helping to be able to do so. So if you want to add bands, we need to creatively be able to push that envelope because they come with a cost. I mean, and it's not a cost, it's promotion. And the fact is that we need to push the envelope with that promotion budget to be able to do so. I mean, I look back 1 year later, I believe it's the right thing to be able to do, but I want to make sure that the people that were actually invested in this process do not feel like they got burned by not getting the resources that we promised them that they would have through this process. Because, frankly, being a part of it, if you weren't drinking the Kool-Aid that Julianne was putting down, you were clearly in the wrong place, because she's a very hard person to not feel that she's got it right on her sleeve and means everything she says. So she was the real deal, and the enthusiasm was contagious. So thank you to everybody.
My understanding is that we have maybe a parcel of land by the waterfront that we could probably put a stage on, maybe do a concert by the river.
Well, it's definitely going to play a certain role in the fact that one of the criticisms that I heard early in the discussion that I think is going to play itself out is that the parking doesn't have to be as big an issue next year for sure. And the fact that there was a sizable amount of discussion about crossing 196, that is going to be a reality at this point, one point in time eventually anyways. And the fact that having it be a part of this, that we have more available to us in the downtown area than we ever have. So.
Paved Summer Street, so that's a nice detour.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Max, a couple
please,
questions.
go ahead.
The financials, Mark, this year, I mean, looking through it, I mean, do you see pretty much kind of going through the same process? Because there's a few things that it was a good year financially. Do you see basically anything changing from that next year? I guess Alan alluded to the idea of actually, do you see, with knowing how this year's budget went, do you see things looking different next year of how you're going to approach the festival, I guess. I mean, you mentioned you spent double, but I don't know why I'm coughing, but allergic something tonight. But the like the bands and stuff. I mean, do you see with the budget that we have that you would actually try to spend more money in different areas? And I guess that'd be one of the questions I have before we get into some of the financials moving into budget season coming up later on. Is do you see that actually? I mean, the average person would look at this saying that's great. It's actually getting to the point where it'll be self-funding, yada yada, from the financials. But is that? I mean, is the direction the idea of investing more into the festival, or?
There are some areas that we want to have evolved.
Yeah.
And one is selling souvenirs. I think we think that eventually that should be in the hands of downtown businesses and the vendors. Keep selling T-shirts because that's what we do. We design them, we create them, and we love selling them, and it brings in a lot of revenues for the festival. But as Julianne reported in a report card, that the trinkets and the small little items, those are things that I think that we're going to try to steer away from eventually in the future. And just like this year is the first year that we let vendors sell cans of Moxie. We didn't sell a lot of Moxie, but the idea was to make sure that it was available everywhere. So vendors sold them. That created that solved our problem is not having only one or two spots. People were upset about that.
Right.
And while the vendors had them, and they were everywhere. We still sold out Cassie, sold out Amnesia. For the most part. So we still sold some, but it's those kinds of things. We're trying to work smarter, not harder, and try to streamline some of the processes so that we're not.
So, I mean, do you feel that you actually move forward enough that you can actually set a tentative budget for next year's? And again, that's the direction I was looking at. I mean, as far as when people from the parade are saying it'd be nice to have a band, but yet it takes dollars to do that. And I'm sure there's all the way through. And a couple questions. Now, the fireworks was a little bit of a concern this year. Is that not? Did we actually end up pay for them, or did we actually not?
We didn't pay for the fireworks this year, and the money's still in the Moxie budget for next year. So.
Is that actually shown in this actually figure here? So the 56, is that actually with that money put back in for the fireworks?
So in the revenues, you'll see Moxie transfer of $25,000. That's part transferred from the Dingley Press TIF of $20,000, and then part transferred from the ED budget for $5,000, which was the designation for fireworks.
Okay.
So that's where that revenue line item lives, and as
Good question.
So I'm just kind of curious on that, and I'm just trying to make sure this isn't a skewed number at the end because we're looking at it being more of a, more of a profitable year. But if money was put back in, I realized like $25,000 was taken out, but part of that was actually expended, and some of it wasn't. And if it wasn't, if it was put back in the final balance, so we're actually, I just don't want people to think that that final number is actually.
To your point, that $5,000 is actually close to fund balance because we didn't pay it out in fireworks.
Correct. So that's actually an extra $5,000 at the end that looks like we profited that we really didn't because it just wasn't expenditure. Right. Yeah, I mean, so I just, when we go next year, it's like, how come you didn't make us get money?
$5,000 would come again from the ED department, right? So that.
Right.
So
yeah. So again, it's one of those things that we're just kind of curious that won't happen every year, and like the insurance and stuff we got this year for the van, is that actually figured into the expenditures of this, or is that actually just wrapped up into? It is actually into the general expenditures.
Yep.
Yep. Again, it would be kind of nice just to actually see when you guys move forward, start doing the planning, and actually having a budget projected out, so you kind of. It'd be nice to know where we're looking to do, and I mean, I think the event went great. I think it actually worked well, and to actually come across with just not looking at negative numbers, or, I mean, I got to be honest with you, this is the first report that actually I see that I can actually wrap my head around and actually understand, that have a pretty good idea of where the final numbers are. And I'm not putting anybody past or down in the past as far as how it was figured. It was just a lot of moving targets. You mean, and it's hard to actually kind of wrap your head around it, figure out exactly where we're at. So, as Mark said, he went in knowing roughly what he gave a rough number of 5,000 to 7,000, give or take a little bit, going into this year's budget. Which, I mean, at the end of the day, it really should be just a known number, right? I mean, it should be a definite. This is what we have moving in. So.
Good. One quick question: when do you guys starting up, or you already have?
November.
Okay.
November, we're going to be doing monthly reports, and that's last year. That's when we started. The ball started rolling. So another month, relax.
Yeah, so that's our, I guess my looking at this, I would say for room for improvement, I would say that that would fall under that Mark and I just work a little bit closer together where he's got more of the detail. I'm looking at the higher level of these totals and the accounts and to connect the two so that way we can reconcile monthly with each other so that way we can have a better representation of cash each month going forward. So that's what I would say as far as a could be improved part of it that I'm excited to see where it comes.
Great.
A question?
Go ahead.
On the Moxie report card, I see you guys give yourself a C for the website. So I'm wondering if you have a plan to improve that, or is there anything you need from us to help you improve that aspect? Because that's definitely a big aspect of your advertising, getting it out there to people beyond the town.
To be honest, that website is horrible.
I believe
Hard to
you.
work
Yes,
with.
yeah.
Julianne had a huge learning curve. We had to get that really quite from Tracy, and
Are we talking about our new website?
No, the Moxie specific
Standalone,
website.
yeah, standalone.
Yeah.
Are we
I
paying
mean, how-
anything for that?
I believe so, yeah.
How come we can't actually wrap that into our new website that we just,
We do in a sense. We
Yeah.
link it. It's
Yeah.
a link on the front page of our website that goes right to that.
yeah.
But it goes from intuitive
To another.
to not so intuitive.
Well, I guess my point is
MoxieCustom.com is
for what we actually just built for a new website, you would think that it would be able to encompass any department to expand into almost any level. You know what I mean?
I
mean,
agree.
It's a fairly new site, and Mark was at a meeting that I was at last week where someone from outside community basically said, you know, the outside looking in would never know anything's going on in your community by our website. It's actually very dead and dormant, which, I mean, it's one of those things where it needs to be updated, and someone needs to actually have the responsibility for actually making our website doing it. You know what I mean? So,
Okay, Mike.
but again, it's just one of those persons, it's just an outside business person that actually came in and said, hey, I looked at your website. To be honest with you, the outside person looking in would think nothing's happening in your town. Yeah, there's something wrong with that, you mean?
Page right now. Our website right now. Roundtable?
Crack Media.
No, that, I
Our
understand that.
website.
Yeah, our website. Roundtable doesn't have
Each
anything to do with it.
Each department is in charge of their own.
Are their own? We don't have any, so when something goes sideways, who do we go to? Us?
Well, the hosting provider
it's-
there is.
Yeah, we don't, if
We
something.
don't have support
we
through
just-
them. So what I mean is, in order for us to be able to build out the way Fern's talking about,
We'd have to go
standalone.
back to them and see what they can do for us if they
We
want
just
to.
didn't buy a cheap website. We actually
don't
spent
ever
pretty
have
good money on a website.
we did, but what I'm saying,
About this,
it's like having,
I think everybody's
having
done
a
what's
car with a lot
supposed
of
to be.
about bells and whistles, but if you don't know how to.
Thanks for coming in tonight.
Yeah.
So I guess my point was to your point about website.
We are way off the ball at the
I
moment.
know, hang on, just 1 second though, Chris, we're almost there.
Bring
I
us home.
promise.
So bring us home.
All right, good. So long story short is I think we definitely should start talking about that in a more than just abstract way. Let's try to figure out if it's part of something that we can get a quote for, or is it smarter to start thinking about maybe some sort of IT person in-house who could run with this stuff. We'll see.
Actually, it could be part of the.
Thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
So, no, this is something, all right, next item. Sorry.
Appointments. Order 2019-206, the Planning Board appointment to move Sean Carr from the associate member to the regular member, term to 2021. So your motion might be to accept Sean Carr's resignation as an associate member and to appoint Sean Carr as a regular member on the Planning Board to 2021.
The motion is what she just said.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Hold on a moment.
I've had a conversation about this.
So, yeah, so we got a motion and a second. Do we want to kind of discuss?
Have the motion.
Who's
Yes,
the
sir.
second?
I'll be the second for discussion.
Right.
Okay.
There we go. So we kind of know what we talked about, so we're going with,
I think what we want to do is, because Mr. Cool had seniority on the board, and it was overlooked that he was not actually a full-time member and was actually an associate member. We think it would be more in line to promote him first, especially knowing there's going to be another opening coming up in another month. So both members are very likely to be promoted eventually. We figured it would make more sense to promote Mr. Cool first.
we all agree?
Is that an amendment?
I'll make that an amendment.
And is it second?
Don, any objection to that?
No, I thought he was. We having him as a regular member.
That's what I thought too.
Are we sure about that? Because I didn't think that.
Somebody
that was
better get
the
up their
case. In
fancy
fact,
paperwork and see.
Before we do anything
fact,
else,
we're
yeah.
doing
The point that I would make is the fact that the information on our website actually shows him as an associate still.
So we can get that updated, maybe?
If that is truly not the case, it's the illustration of the site.
Okay, so,
Okay.
just so we're clear, can you just step up just so we can go ahead, people in the
So
audience?
the information on the site may be not
Probably
reflected.
not as up
That's
to date.
true. No,
Somebody should be updating that.
Bill Cool took Dan Lehman's spot.
So Bill Cool is an
He
an
is
act-
a regular member.
Okay, good.
So then, if that's being the case, then we'll stick with
We're Sean.
we'll stick with it as it appears right now. Everybody
X-nay on
agree?
the
Okay.
amendment.
Everybody agrees. Right, hey, thanks.
I didn't hear a second,
So,
so.
okay. Great. I think we're good.
That's
Yes.
good.
No, you.
Update for the website, somebody.
Okay, let's do that again.
I'm in charge of that.
All right.
I'll take the blame.
No
I'm
blame.
gonna
No
look
blame,
for.
no blame. We're just looking for somebody to do it, that's all.
We found an area of opportunity, we'll fix it. No
Yes,
worries.
definitely.
One more time, Twyla.
So, yeah.
So are you making a motion to appoint Sean Carr?
I'll make that motion.
No, it's already there.
Okay, we're gonna go with that then?
So the
already
vote
had it.
is
Then all in favor? Man, that was long.
6-0?
I bet you we're gonna do this one a lot smoother.
I don't know. I got it.
Order 2019-207, the planning board appointment to fill the vacated associate member's position to term 2021.
So this would be for,
It's my understanding we have one candidate for consideration.
Is that you, Lisa?
I make the motion to nominate Lisa Ward.
I'll second that.
all in favor?
Order passed, 6-0.
Thank you, Lisa, for joining the planning board.
You're the deep end of the
Appreciate it.
pool, kid.
Deep into the pool.
That's right.
Council Communications.
Correct.
I'm having a hard time in the
Yes,
chair. I'm
please.
gonna have to get up and
Thank
walk
you.
around, so.
Communications? Is that where we're at?
That's
Yep.
where we're at.
Council Communications.
Anybody? Anything?
I had something, but I don't know what the hell it is now. Sorry.
Just say roll hound so I can say next.
Next.
Seeing none, next.
Audience participation for new items?
Anybody in the audience wants to talk now? Come up here and please do so.
Next.
Seeing none,
I think it's just to adjourn order 2019-28.
make a motion.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Order passed, 6-0.
Thank you, everyone. Oh, my.
Thank you all.
Good night, yes, good night. Oh, excuse me.